In January, I was catching my breath. In February, I was just trying to find my footing. And somewhere in between all of it, in between the unexpected things, in between the plans that just shifted and the days that didn't go the way I imagined, to say the least, I still kept moving forward. It's a quiet-ish February morning, and I've got some water in hand. Not very exciting there, but I wanted to do what we did last month, and that's just to sit down and check in and talk about how the month has been. So let's start with talking about the writing. As of filming this, and today's the 19th of February, so I have 9 days left to the month, which is quite a chunk. As of filming this, I wrote 15,834 words. Now, there's still time. There's still time to get a lot more words done, but to be honest, I don't think I'm gonna hit January's numbers, which was around 25K, and I'm making my peace with that. I wrote for 10 days out of the 19 so far, which, depending on how you look at it, that's either really encouraging or kind of humbling. Just over 50% success rate. It's still a pass. February was just a different kind of month. Life got in the way over and over again, and I mean that in the most complicated, bittersweet sense of the phrase. It's nothing I really want to dive into in much detail now, but just things happened. Things happened that reminded me that writing has to exist alongside the rest of your life, and you have to figure out a way to make it be present. It can't just be life or writing. It doesn't work that way. And that's okay. It has to be okay. It has to be okay. What is harder to sit with for me is the fact that I'm not going to reach my goal for February. I had a goal to reach the midpoint of the story by the end of February. And that's still quite far away. I think let me check. In the draft in total, I've written 37,665 words. And my goal for February was to hit around 50. And I'm not going to get there. I'm not. I'm actually quite far from where I wanted to be. And I don't entirely know how I feel about that, because part of me just wants to reframe it, to say the story is taking its time, it's gonna get there, life happened and that's valid and it's okay. And those things are true, they are, but they don't make me feel any better about it. And there's just this part of me that's sitting in this discomfort of being behind on something that really matters to me. What I do know all of this means is that my deadline of finishing the draft by the end of March is looking really uncertain. And I'm not ready to abandon that deadline yet. I'm not ready to abandon that goal. But I'm also trying to be honest with myself about what's realistic and not to just force my way through to meet that deadline in a way that doesn't serve the book. I'll keep you posted on that. I don't know. That's all I can say about that right now. But what did surprise me and what really worked for me this month was writing like Stephen King. And I mean, I didn't expect it. I didn't. I thought that it would be the worst kind of writing routine to trial when my whole world is just a little bit tumultuous. If you watched my on writing video, which I'm going to leave linked up here for you, I went deep into Stephen King's approach to writing, into his whole approach to the craft, and then I actually tried it. So I'm going to leave that linked up here too. And his routine, his methods, his philosophy, his approach, showing up consistently just worked. Treating writing like a job just worked for those days. It wasn't me waiting to be in the mood to write. It was me sitting down to write. 7 out of the 10 days that I wrote in February were doing that experiment. So that shows you something. But at the same time, the second the experiment was over, I kind of dropped the habit. So I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure it's the right one for me, but it worked in that moment in time. And there's just something really grounding about removing the question of whether you're gonna write one day and just saying, okay, first thing I'm gonna do that day is write. After that, everything is open to the day. Everything can be filled up with all the million other to-dos we've got. So King doesn't wait for inspiration. He just sits down, he does the work, and he trusts that the words will come. So trying to embody that this month really helped, even though it was imperfect. It made a real difference on the days where I did show up. But a different goal of mine just completely slipped away from me this month, and that's my growth hour. I was so proud. I was so proud of this in January. And then February came around and my mornings were no longer my own, and just, it was chaos. So I'm trying not to beat myself up about it. I miss it, and I'm hoping that March will be a chance for me to rebuild that habit, because it made such a big difference, and I really liked it. It felt nourishing to start off the day that way. It was good. In terms of reading, February was great. Reading was one of the things that really kept me together. I read 4 books this month. Here's my little stack. Ooh. I don't know if this is even in focus, but anyway, I finished Katabasis by R.F. Kuang, and I had started this in the end of January. I have really complicated feelings about it. There were parts that I genuinely loved, and then there were parts that kind of lost me, because after a certain point, and this is going to be spoiler free, so I'm not going to say anything more, but after a certain point onwards, I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it that much. I wasn't as engaged, and I really respect what she's trying to do. She's such a brave and daring and uncompromising writer. So I think this is worth reading, but it just didn't quite stick the landing for me. Yeah, I think it's a book I'm gonna keep turning over in my mind though, because there were some bits I genuinely really loved, and the premise is fantastic. Yeah. Anyway, that's Katabasis. Next, I read The Blind Assassin by Margaret Atwood, which I've been meaning to read for years. I've had this physical copy on my TBR, I don't know, for almost a decade, let's say. It's been here for years. And I'm really glad that I got to it now. So my TBR jar, I added all the books that I hadn't read, all my physical books I hadn't read, into a TBR jar, and this was next. And it was perfectly timed, because right now with my story, I am looking at doing a similar sort of structural thing that The Blind Assassin is doing. In The Blind Assassin, you've got the narrative and you've got interweaving different points of view, you've got inserts, you've got news articles, things like that that just come in and flesh out the story, and they help you reinterpret what you've read. And I'm really loving that. And that's a very similar approach to what I want to do with my own book. So having this as a masterclass in how to do that was just great and perfectly timed. Then my TBR jar decided I needed a tonal pivot, and I read The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa. I went into this knowing almost nothing. Actually, I went into this knowing absolutely nothing, not almost nothing. I knew nothing about it. It was a gift that I had left on my shelf for ages, and it was so good. It's so heartwarming and so heartbreaking. I used literally 1.5 boxes of tissues, just sobbing. It was so gentle and so kind, and it has so much love, both for animals and for life. It's beautiful. There's so much love for small moments, for ordinary life, for the quiet ways in which we matter. We matter to each other, and animals matter to us, and we're all connected, and it's beautiful. I actually loved this so much that I added it to my absolute favorite shelf on Goodreads and on Storygraph. I've read over 1,500 books, and I have 13 books on that absolute favorite shelf, all for their own reasons. And this is now one of them. I loved it. I just loved it. I was so unprepared for how hard this book hit me though. So consider yourself warned. And then last night I finished Children of Húrin by Tolkien, which is a totally different kind of experience entirely. Tolkien's prose is almost mythic, and I'm looking forward to reading more. I've read The Hobbit and the main trilogy, and this is the first of the extras that I'm reading, and it was just so interesting to get more insight into the world. Next up, my TBR jar chose Red Rising by Pierce Brown, so I'm looking forward to this. A friend of mine is also reading it at the same time, so it'll be fun to discuss it with him as he reads. So 4 books finished in February and 1 in progress. I don't know how many more I'm gonna get done by the end of the month, but these were all really good. They were all really high quality. So even though I didn't read as many books as I did in January, I appreciate these a lot. So that's it. That was my February. A total mixed bag. I had some creative momentum and progress. I had an experiment that really paid off and helped me figure out a few more things about my own writing routine that I love. I had books that were just perfect and they each nourished me in different ways and inspired me. And then life, doing what life does best, just arriving unannounced and asking for your full attention. What I keep coming back to throughout this month is just showing up and moving forward, which resonates with me because that's my word of the year for 2026. So just moving forward in little ways and doing my best, even imperfectly, just making a little bit of progress. It all still counts. The words I wrote still exist, although yesterday I had negative 66 words written yesterday because I deleted quite a bit, even though I was adding in other parts. This month was a lot, and I'm hoping that March will be a bit more steady. I'm after more steadiness. That's what's next. More time to rebuild my growth hour, more time to just see what writing looks like when February's weight and chaos is behind me. So if you want to share a little bit about how your February went, I'd love to hear about it. Let me know down in the comments. And I'll see you in March, where we're going to dive into V.E. Schwab, who is my absolute favorite author. Thanks for spending time with me today and doing a little recap here.